True leadership begins when you unlock the brilliance of the mind and lead with the resonance of the heart. Hi, everyone. Let me know if you can hear me. So I think you can hear me. Who knows? So yeah, I have, sometimes I have speaker issues. Darn it. I've got to put my speaker behind me. Okay, because I'm in a little setup. I don't know. Well, darn, the tech person isn't here to help me. Nevertheless, just put the speaker there. Who knows? So thanks for joining, y'all. Again, let me know if you can hear me. I guess if you can't hear me, you will let me know. So maybe I can move this over a little bit. All right, y'all. I hope the lighting is good. Thanks for joining me today. I want to tell you all that I am a little fatigued today, so bear with me. Let me know who's watching. I am Mariquita Solis, the Uncaged Heart Coach, and my mission really is to get people back into the space of living in authenticity, helping men feel all feelings, not just half of the feelings, but living from their full souls and acknowledging that all feelings are important. Every feeling is pointing us into awareness. The feeling is telling us, hey, be aware of this, right? And if we shut down feelings, we're not going to be able to make healthy decisions because we've just turned off part of the navigation. All right. So, y'all, thanks for letting me know. It looks like that you can hear me. Today, we are going to be talking about outgrowing the cage of compliance, authenticity versus false scripts. So, again, first of all, let's start off by saying that this is not going to be some perfectly perfect live stream. And I don't ever want it to be because that's not who I am. I'm not perfect and I don't want to be perfect. So it took me a long time to say that, to come to the place of where I didn't feel like everything had to go 100% smoothly. And now we can all relax because no one is required to be perfect in this hour long or however long it's going to be. It's also going to be whenever it ends, it ends. So, all right. So thanks for joining me. Let me know who is watching and if you have any questions about this. I've had a very interesting week, and that is one of the reasons I'm a little bit tired right now because I haven't been sleeping that well. So when I start thinking about the moral state of the world or a lot of deep thoughts, which is most of the time I can't sleep at night very well. I can sleep for a while and I wake up and my brain starts kicking on and I start to try to solve the world's problems in the middle of the night. Unfortunately, I wake up wide awake. So I eventually get back to sleep. But nevertheless, so if something sounds off, well, that's the brain going. All right. So today I want to talk about, well, there's a lot of things we're going to cover here, right? This glitching in life. Life is always full of glitches, right? And how it shows up in our own, navigating our own authenticity, right? So, first of all, let's just laugh at the glitches because, I mean, that's what happens, right? Things take us down and we fall down and we're in the mud and then we get back up. I can't really think of any time in the mud that I have been recently, but I'm sure there have been some. I don't know. Staying up in the middle of the night, laying and staring at the ceiling is a good example of me being kind of in my mind. So that's okay because I'd much rather be where I am today than where I was before, where I couldn't see. I couldn't see clearly. I was blind to many things. And now, because I've been awakened, I'm not blind anymore. And sometimes I wake up and I keep going on about this, but that's the way it goes. I'd rather be awake than blind. So today we're going to talk about these systems and structures in our society that keep us asleep, that keep us inside of these rules that we have to live by. And it's no one's fault. Let me just say that right away. I'm not here to blame or shame anyone. I was trapped by society's rules many times. So, how does this affect us as men and women, or as non-binary, as human beings, I should say, right? We all have masculine and feminine energy. So if we're not embracing our entire being, all of ourself, and not listening to that masculine energy and that feminine energy, then again, we're cutting off the navigation, right? We're being guided by emotions. If we don't listen to our emotions, then hi Jay, then I mean, my gosh, our emotions are there to direct us, to guide us, right? If we don't feel anger, then and we just shut down anger and pretend it's not there, then we could get into a heck of a lot of problems. Anger is there to tell us something, right? Fear is there to tell us something. If we shut down fear, then we're just going to go walking right into the fire. We can't shut down our emotions without feeling the consequences. So today I want to talk about, usually I talk about the man box solely, but I want to talk about what it's like to be a woman navigating these expectations that are placed on women in this culture, this male dominated culture, right? So society hands us this script when we're born. I mean, I got the script very early, 3 days old in life. I had my ears pierced because I was a girl. So let's get on the ball. 3 days, let's get it going. I had gold earrings, gold. Um, I don't think they were hoops because that would have been dangerous. Just little gold earrings, and how beautiful. I'm sure I heard I got a lot of compliments. Everybody was in the hospital looking at the baby with the earrings. So anyway, that's the girl box. That's what I was put into immediately. And I think, gosh, a 3-day-year-old baby, the last thing I would do to my 3-day-year-old baby, and I'm sure I'm not blaming my parents. This is the way they were brought up, but would be hurting her, putting a needle through her ears. This is a tiny baby, right? So nevertheless, I'm not holding resentment. This is tradition. And, I think that's why it's important to question tradition sometimes, right? And maybe to make different choices, because ultimately I wouldn't take a needle and stab it into a little baby. So, like I said, no resentment. It sounds awful, but anyway, I survived that. The ear piercing. Nevertheless, so this is the beginning of being beautiful. A baby with earrings, right? That's beautiful. A beautiful little girl. Let's dress her up, right? And so this is an impossible checklist for women, right? To be the perfect woman, right? The rules say, well, let me show you what the rules say. I've got them right here, actually. Darn it. All right, I've got them, but give me 1 second. Here we go. All right, where is it? I have it pulled up here, but all right. Let me see here. All right, well, the rules say that women have to be pretty. We have to be skinny, and we have to be modest, right? So, oh, shoot. Well, maybe I'll just share the screen. That might be the easiest. See, the tech person isn't doing a very good job today. Here we go. All right, let's see here. Nope. All right, let's see if I can do it. Well, y'all, I'll just read it. How about that? Sorry for the tech person. She's not doing a good job. Okay, here we go. All right, conforming to female norms. You better be nice. You better be sweet, agreeable, and relational. You better be thin. Maintaining a specific body type or aesthetic. You better be modest, not being too loud or taking up too much space. Appearance. You better use all available resources, time, money, and effort for physical appearance. You better be domestic, prioritizing the care of the home and family. And sexual fidelity, adhering to specific standards of purity or loyalty. All right, did everybody get that? All women, did you get that? Hi, Carl. Thanks for watching. Hi, Ellen. Right, and so this is what it's like to be the box that women are put in, right? I mean, this is the role that women have to adhere to, right? These standards of beauty. Like I said, from 3 days old, it began with me. Now, and it can begin before birth also with the pink rooms and everything, which is nice. And I'm not here to judge anybody. This is just the way it goes. And it doesn't have to be this way, though. So now let me get back to what I was saying, right? Young, pretty, modest, sweet, skinny at all costs. So let me know if this is resonating with you. So I knew that, I knew this is what I had to fulfill as a little girl. I remember listening and hearing elders talking about me and how they were they had a husband for me. And I felt like, oh, thank God, there's a husband for me. I'm never going to be an old maid, right? It was a relief, which I laugh at now because maybe I am an old maid. Ha, ha, ha. But anyway, that's all good. So that was the trap that I was caught in, right? And there's a trap for men as well, and we can talk about that as well. But so this was a very, it was a massive trap that I was in. So in high school, I attended an all-girls private school where I was being taught to be a leader and that women had voices and voices are important, right? And that what I did mattered. This was what I was being taught every day, to use my voice for self-expression. So at the same time, I was living with my Mexican parents who did not go for that, right? Now this sounds awful. I mean, it's not, they wanted me to rise in a different way, right? They wanted me to be a homemaker. They wanted me to be a domestic goddess because that's what they were taught, right? Because the men had a different place than the women, right? My parents did not understand or support my radical voice. To them, I was crazy. And I think back, my gosh, I was pretty much a saint compared to, if I compare myself to other people, right? And in my school. But nevertheless, these two systems clashed of me going to school and being taught, stand up for yourself, use your voice, and then coming home and saying, make sure you clean up the house, make the bed for your brother. And that's what my mother told me. And I said, what are you talking about? Anyway, so it was really interesting to be in my shoes. And I'm sure we all have stories like this, right? Yes, where your home environment might be encouraging you to be one thing, nice, quiet, and small, and school is telling you to be another thing. And I complied for that. I complied with that for a long time of trying to hold this dynamic of two selves, right? And that's the exact trap that so many women are living in, right? Being pulled between who we really are and who society says we need to be and what scripts we need to follow, right? The societal scripts, right? But the question that changes everything is, how do you live authentically when you're being pulled in two different directions, two different identities? How does that create an authentic life? Well, you can't live authentically that way. It's a fragmentation. And that fragmentation is what shame feeds on. That shame is what is killing our souls, men and women. Let's talk about men a little bit here. So let me look at the comments, y'all. Thanks for the comments. Ellen is saying, being a girl from the 60s, however, I think we are liberated a bit more, but as time went on, we were still having to deal with body image, graduating to a senior citizen. It's hard to go from young, attractive vibrancy to older, slower, saggy, and health issues. Not fun. I just wrote something about that, about saggy, and on my Substack this morning. I woke up in the middle of the night. Like I said, I wake up in the middle of the night with some grandiose ideas. So I wrote an article about saggy skin. And anyway, nevertheless, my skin is saggy. For some reason, my neck looks very tight here. But honestly, that's not the way it looks. I guess StreamYard is trying to fix me up, right? But whatever, nevertheless. All right, so now I want to talk a little bit. I want to talk about the men, the conforming to the male roles, which is Now, this is also, I can't see it. Let me see. Um, this is research from Dr. James Mahalik of Boston College, and I saw this on a Brene Brown TED Talk. So, conforming to masculine norms, emotional control, always showing composure, never showing vulnerable emotions like fear or sadness. Your work must be primary, putting career and professional output above all else. Pursuit of status, focus on power, rank, and social standing. Violence, being willing to use physical force or aggression. I don't even want to go there. Risk taking, demonstrating bravery or recklessness. Self reliance, not asking for help or showing dependency. We can do it all by ourselves. I mean, that's not just men, women are doing that as well. Dominance, taking charge or having authority over others, and how this is killing our world. My gosh, dominance. Okay, let me get out of this and get back to y'all. So, yeah. So, and that's the pressure of being a man. So, women have their own societal pressure, and men have this man box that society is trying to force them into. And when we are not we're not living the way society tells us to live, then that can create shame. I felt ashamed that I wasn't chosen by a man. I felt ashamed that I wasn't pretty enough. And obviously, because I wasn't chosen by a man means I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't nice enough. I wasn't good enough because I wasn't chosen by a man, right? So, yeah. And so I was ashamed of myself. So I'm sure you've heard, and I just mentioned Dr. Brene Brown. She speaks about this in her research on shame. So she says that shame is a psychosocial cultural construct. And that means it's built on the expectations we absorb from the world around us. So the world is telling us how to behave. And if we don't measure up, then we better darn well be ashamed. And shame will force us to do what we need to do. Shame will force me into getting on top of these wrinkles in my neck, right? In this sagging arm skin, right? Shame will say, this is not good. This is not acceptable, right? But nevertheless, that's the box I can jump in, and I'm not going to. I finally jumped out of that box, so I don't care. I'm not getting back into it. So when we fail to meet those expectations, right? These of society, then this is something that we attack ourselves with. I attacked myself, right, with this. I have to be pretty. I have to do all this, and I have to do all this and this and this, and it's all contradictory. If I want to be a strong woman, a leader, then I can't. How can I do that also by being submissive to other people, right? It's a double bind, right? How can people be relational? How can you have really good relationships with others if you're saying we don't need it? I'm independent. I don't need anyone. How does that work? It doesn't work. I can't say I don't need anyone, but yet I do need my partner, or I do need my family, right? It doesn't make sense. It's competing demands, right? So if you're independent, then you don't have those warm connections, right? And then if you need those connections, then men are classified as weak, right? Oh, you need other people. Well, that's weak. That's being like a girl. Girls are weak. The worst thing you can be is a girl, right? So, right. And if you're a strong woman, if you're powerful, when I said, I want to be powerful, I want power, immediately I was judged, right? As, what do you mean you want power? That's not something women are allowed to want. Now, when I say I want power, yeah, I want powerful. I want to be powerful. Why do I want to be powerful? Because I want to use my voice to help others heal. I want to use my voice. I want to use my standing to heal the world, to bring awareness of these issues here, right? So society demands that we try to be all of it, and we can't, right? So like I said, if you are fierce and powerful, you fail being sweet. No, you can't be both, right? If you're sweet, then you fail being a leader. So how does that work? Let me know in the comments if you like Ellen says, it's tough to find a balance. How does this work out, right? And it's like a rigged game against us. So that shame web keeps us feeling very small, disconnected, and always failing, right? We're disconnected from our true power because we're always trying to somehow make these things that are not relatable relate. So what happens when you finally decide to just forget it, right? I'm not going to be sweet in the way that I put myself last over other people, but I'm going to be a voice for others. I'm going to speak from my heart. Does that mean I have to be mean? No, but it means I do have to speak my truth, right? So we can make an internal shift in identity from being the victim to being a sovereign leader, a sovereign woman or man, right? And what does this internal battle feel like when we're battling out? And it's like that constant tension between who you want to be and who society says that you're supposed to be. When you're being pulled between modest and sweet and you want to speak up for yourself with honesty, that little voice inside me would say, no, don't say anything. You better just be compliant, be complicit, and do what you better be a nice girl, right? You better be a nice girl. And too bad if it's better for you to give in, at least you'll be perceived as nice. And that's sacrificing my soul. That's sacrificing who I am. That's sacrificing my voice, right? And you better get out there and take care of all these wrinkles, all this saggy skin, right? Which I don't know. Yeah, I guess you can see it. So get rid of it. Because if you don't, you're failing, and you better not fail because you're going to be ashamed, because we value you on how youthful and attractive you look, right? And this doesn't equate. These wrinkles, this junk here, all this skin that is not attractive, right? And we're valuing you on that. And this happens every day in our world. And it's very sad. I think about actress Rachel Ward from the Thornbirds. I recently saw her on Instagram. I guess it was Instagram, nevertheless. So she has embraced life. She doesn't have any makeup on. She's doing her thing, right? Getting on lives, and people attacked her and said basically things like, well, she's not aging well. What the hell happened here, right? And her response, which was so powerful and very simple, was, why do we feel we've got to pretend that we're still 40 when we're 68, right? And she talks about the freedom she has when she's let go of that, right? Not following what society says we must do or what we must look like as women, and the roles that men have to subscribe to, which is make sure you're a good provider, make sure you're always stoic, don't ever let them see you cry, don't let them see you sweat, you're handling everything, you handle it, you don't need anyone. And that is just so destructive, right? It's destructive to see men and women in these spots. And I struggle seeing my friends that are women that I care about. I struggle seeing them believe that they have to change themselves just to be enough for society, right? Thousands of dollars, and it's never ending. There's never enough money to fix all the wrinkles, all the sagging skin, right? And this is someone that never was broken. I'm not broken. Thousands of dollars poured into it, and it never ends, because every day I'm getting older. Every day it's like I'm swimming up the stream, right? So true empowerment is what Rachel Ward is talking about, and Ellen is saying Pamela Anderson did that too, right? True empowerment is to begin to love ourselves as we are, not to embrace the system that has taught us to turn against ourselves, right? And this isn't just the experience of women, it's the experience of men too. This parallel pressure for men, which I was talking about. They're never enough either, but they're seen as commodity. I mean, men are not seen as commodities. They're seen as they're providers, right? They're judged by their assets. What is this guy bringing to the table, right? Women bring to the table the beauty and the self-sacrifice. Well, what do men bring to the table? The money, the status, right? It's never enough money, never enough status, right? Never enough self-control over their emotions. You've got to be strong at all costs. Don't crack. If someone dies, don't crack. If you need to cry, go into the bathroom and cry, right? Little boys have been told not to cry at their own parents' funerals, which is sickening. So how does anyone keep up that facade, right? Then this is both men and women are disconnecting from themselves, from their true souls, just to fit into these societal roles, right? And so, again, we are talking about this cage of compliance that people are put in, the false narratives, the false scripts that we're having to run. So, one of the turning points of my life is when I took the classes at Feminine Power, which is now called the Institute for Training for Women's Institute for, see, they changed the name every time I get on here. I think I shouldn't say that because now I'm just making it more Institute for Women-Centered Coaching, Training, and Leadership, right? So the founder of that, Dr. Claire Zammit, is my mentor. And that was a transformative time in my life that I was like, my gosh, I've been directed. My shame has been directing all of my actions, all of my behaviors, my whole life. And I'm going to break out of it. So women start out experiencing life as many human beings, like it's happening to me. This is happening to me. What's going on here? And because of these patterns are unconscious, we don't know it, right? I mean, I didn't know at 3 days old when I got my ears pierced that it was beginning. This pretty girl was starting, right? Well, that was it, not good enough. Ears not good enough, must pierce, right? Now, I'm not saying that piercing ears is a bad thing. I'm saying that let's have some thought behind it, right? Did that make me more beautiful? No, it didn't. Did those gold balls in my ears? I mean, I was beautiful at 3 days old without those earrings, right? So the shift comes when we reflect on these experiences in our life, when we become aware of them and to see them from different perspectives, right? And so we're shifting from this is happening to me to say, I can see what's shaping me and how I can choose to see this differently. I can choose differently now, right? I see that little baby at 3 days old with the ears pierced. What's the awareness here, right? What could be different? So, and this is the shift that changed my life when I started to have compassion for myself. So I was laying on my bed one night. I mean, after years and years of dating and jumping through hoops, the same old story that I tell all the time, how I hated myself. I twisted myself and into whoever the guy was that I was dating, because I would say anything to just hold on to this guy, because this guy could prove to me and to the world, to society, that I finally was lovable, right? If I could just contort myself into a way and get the scripts ready, say whatever I needed to say to get this guy to say, I want to spend the rest of your life with me, then I would finally be verified. I mean, I would be validated into being a beautiful person. So I remember laying on my bed and just saying, I give up, right? I give up. I've been trying and trying and trying. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to have compassion for myself. I don't know. I can't go on like this anymore, right? I was just this never enough, never good enough, never good enough, never saying the right thing enough, right? So I finally had to get the book Self-Compassion and start there. I was trying to be everything for everyone because that's the nice girl role. They put themselves last. So when we finally see the pattern, we can get out of it. You don't have to be trapped inside of it. I saw the pattern and I got the heck out of it. It didn't happen overnight. I had to do a lot of work. I was reading Eckhart Tolle. I was watching Oprah Soul Sunday, listening to Rob Bell, and I was gaining awareness of this system that had oppressed me for many years that I didn't even realize was the tyrant in my life, that the system, but I was happy to be a part of that system and to oppress myself once I knew what my role was, right? But now when you realize it, you become free to make a new choice, free to build new capacities and to author a different story of your life. And nobody's saying it's easy, right? This is a journey. You're going to fall down, right? You're going to get questioned. You're going to get resistance. So you're going to be challenged if you're going to step into who you are. People are going to say, who are you? I thought you were that submissive, quiet, sweet girl. What is happening, right? And it can disrupt friendships. It can disrupt relationships when you show up differently and speak for yourself. People will be like, wait a minute, I don't like this version of you. I like the one that would do everything for me. So be aware of that, right? This is growth. Be aware that you can outgrow people, that they like it when you play small. So this happened when I shifted my coaching to coaching men, because I saw there was a need for a woman's voice to step up for men. So that's what I said I'm going to do. I'm tired of hearing people badmouth men. I'm tired of hearing all men are blah, 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 right? All men are jerks. They just want one thing. And I got sick of it. So I said, look, I'm going to switch this coaching. It's affected my life in multiple ways. And I'm going to do that. And so, there were kickbacks. I mean, men said to me, what do you mean you're coaching men? You're a woman. Yeah, that's right. I am a woman and I'm coaching men. Yeah, it's a shocker. So I had to really stand in my truth in that moment and not let them make me, not make me feel, but question my own sanity, because a woman can bring to the table something different than a man can. Yeah. So what? Maybe some men want a male coach, but there are some men that want a female coach, right? It's a different relationship. So not let them knock me off of my pedestal. And it can be, for many people, disorienting to encounter someone who doesn't fit the role that they expect, right? And especially men are taught that women are weak. Now, that's no fault of men, right? I mean, this is what society says. Women are weak. Empathy is weak, right? They need to be in less powerful roles. Unfortunately, it's true. This is something that's still happening today. Not all men think that, thank God, but many men believe that. So when a woman shows up grounded, speaking her truth and direct and clear, it contradicts what they've been taught about women. It challenges that expectation of how a woman is going to show up. And that's what happened to me when they were like, but you're a woman. What do you mean you're coaching men? Well, how could you know anything about that? Yeah, how could I know anything? Nevertheless, all right. So I want to take just a little break here and look at some of the comments we got. Carl is saying, life-changing. No, ear piercings do not make us any prettier. We are beautiful just by the mere existence of our human vessel. Just be. Love now. Yes, thank you, Carl. And yes, Ellen, Professor Scott Galloway has talked a lot about men's problems in society today. Yes, shutting down certain emotions is the biggest problem, I would say. It disconnects us from life. It disconnects us from living beings. It disconnects us from the earth. When we shut down feelings, we can do whatever we want. Okay, I feel nothing. Well, let me just walk all over you. Let me discard you like garbage, right? And this is not it's not efficient way to live for anyone, especially not the person that's living it, who shut down their feelings because they're disconnected from their authentic self. We weren't born as babies like that. This is conditioning of society and suppression of who we are. So Carl's saying, I get anxious speaking in some spiritual spaces and I don't want to cause offense. Give everyone a seat at the banquet. Yes, and thank you for your courage in saying that. That is true bravery right there. Because it's, for me, speaking now is very easy, but it took me a while to get here. I had to love myself first. That was the first step, love myself. And then, honestly, it all fell into place. I didn't have to practice or anything, but I did have to practice on the going lives and stumbling and falling down. The stumbling and falling down was essential because now I do it and I say, whatever. Okay. So let's talk about the triggering effects that, like, when I received the pushback about what do you mean you're coaching men, you're a woman, right? So this is what I want to talk about. Daniel Nathanson's work. He described the compass of shame. All right. So when we feel challenged, like those that possible men did when I said I'm a woman coaching men, when we feel challenged or exposed, we tend to move into one of four patterns. We might attack ourselves, blame ourselves, which is number one. Number two, being avoidant, hiding or numbing, shutting down feelings is avoidant. Number three, attacking others, blaming or deflecting, right? Oh, well, I mean, I can blame. That's very simple, right? Deflecting. Oh, so yeah, who does blaming? Like, I don't know. I'm having a hard time here, struggling and with an example, but nevertheless, number four, withdrawal, pulling away. Another way to just hide. So let me keep moving here. So this is often you're showing a mirror to that person that is unfamiliar or challenging, right? When something is unfamiliar, it causes them to look at themselves. When they say, but why are you doing this? You're a woman. There's some sort of questioning there, right? It's kind of revealing the curtain, or that, wait a minute, she's not in her place. What does this mean for us? She's not staying where she needs to be. How does this affect everything, right? So they might react, right? Not because something is wrong when there's a mirror in front of you, but they're having to adapt to something new. Mirrors are frightening. When you meet someone that is a mirror to you, it's like, whoa, what's going on? Now I'm very exposed, and not everybody wants to be exposed. So sometimes when you're a mirror to someone, they might run. They might do one of those four things that I listed, the hiding. So, and it's simply that if they're running, if they're blaming, if they're attacking, they don't know how to relate to someone who doesn't fit into that old expectation of what a woman needs to be. She needs to be submissive. She needs to know that she can't be telling men, she can't be helping men, she can't be actually pointing out things that might be happening to men that they're unaware of. She needs to stay in her corner, and that is to coach women. Don't get into this area, right? This is for men only, right? And so men don't need women that are hiding in the corner. All right. They don't need a surface level reassurance to grow. They need someone actually steady, grounded, and present with them. Someone who's on their side that reflects the truth, right? With clarity and respect. And that's what I'm here to do. It might not be nice. It might not be comfortable all the time, but I'm not going to just smooth everything over, because that's what allowed me to stay in my prison for decades, is this smoothing things over and pretending. So, yeah, I mean, once we break through, you can't ever go back. So I think, let me know in the comments if this is resonating with you. When you do break through, sometimes you start to really be who you are, it's your own essence, you might feel like you're alone in that. People don't understand you, right? Because it takes time to build your community when you're living in authentic presence, right? And that's so much better than jumping through hoops and pretending to be someone you're not when you're um, when you're performing all the time and you're hiding, right? Not because you want to, but because you're trying to stay connected to those groups. But those groups, sometimes that society is keeping you small. It's keeping your voice subdued. So when you are able to step in authenticity and to address the shame, when we hide from the shame, it lives, right? It's there. There's no way to get rid of it. It's always a force. But when we say, I see how this is happening, I'm going to hold the shame here, but I'm also going to bring in some empathy and compassion and awareness of what's going on in my life. I'm going to reflect on these things. Why do I feel ashamed? Who is telling me I should feel ashamed? When we look at this with honesty about what's really going on and where is this shame coming from? Is it coming from my parents? Is it coming from society? And do I need to be ashamed? Do I need to be ashamed because of these wrinkles? Do I really need to be? What does this really mean that I have white hair? What does it mean that my skin is sagging? Is that something I really need to be ashamed of in the moral compass of the world? Right? So, really stepping into what's real here and not wasting time on things that don't matter. And that's why I say I'm not going to just step quietly around this. This is about letting go of this need to be perfect and to please others, to please to fulfill the societal norms. Because once we do that, once we can speak it, once we can acknowledge it, it can't hide in the shadows of controlling us, right? We begin to break that isolation together. Me sharing my feelings of shame helps others feel and be able to embrace who they are and to know that that shame is a liar. That shame is a warden of control, of disempowerment. But it comes once we look at it and reflect on it. Who are we without the shame? Who are we when we love every part of ourselves as we are and we don't have to cover up anything? Right? When I don't have to pretend to be someone I'm not. And when I just say, I'm an imperfect human being and I'm doing the best I can, just like you all are. How beautiful that is. And when we get up and speak and we might say, first of all, I'm going to speak and this isn't going to be perfect. And I don't want it to be perfect. I want to be a human being because I'm not perfect. So I'm not going to demand that out of myself. I'm going to celebrate myself for speaking. And yeah, this thing right now, this live stream is not perfect, right? I usually have a lot of notes. I try to stay on point and I veer off and then I try to jump back in. So I think, oh God, that doesn't matter, right? I'm not going to hold myself to some expectation that doesn't fit anymore because I'm going to allow myself to be who I am, right? So where are you all holding, ladies, an expectation that doesn't fit anymore, that you've outgrown this beautiful part of who you are? What is that expectation that's holding you back from being free in your body and loving everything about yourself, right? And for the men that are listening, know that you are not the problem. You're far from the problem. You're beautiful souls, right? But you have been shaped by expectations also. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. But if you're feeling pressured and in a cage, these are the expectations that limited you too, right? So my work as an uncaged heart coach is to work with people, work with men to get out of this cage that says you have to be viewed as a 24/7 provider, stoic, right? Never be able to let your guard down always, right? Make sure you fit into the system, right? It's about living in authenticity. I don't want you to fit into the system. I want you to see the system, the cage that is holding you in. I want you to outgrow it. I want you to break out of it because once you see the cage, you cannot unsee it. You can't go back. And that's where your freedom begins. And I'd rather sit alone on an island, but love myself than be in that cage. There's no going back for me getting in that cage anymore. And I want you to feel that same freedom of self love and expression, to use your voice and to know that it's not perfect, but to celebrate using it as you are today in your being, just doing your best. And that's all that we need. Do your best in being you, not what society says who you should be, but to be yourself. So, ah, so let me know what you think about this in the comments. And y'all, I really appreciate you listening to me. And if anyone wants coaching, let me know. I've coached women and now I'm coaching on men. I see how my arms are disappearing here. But yeah, let me know in the comments and we'll set up a call to talk about this. What's holding you back to break out of the cage so you can be free? You don't have to get up and look in the mirror and have self-hatred like I used to. Like I said, once you break out, you'll never jump back into that cage because you'll see it for the hell it is. All right, y'all. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And let me know in the comments if this resonated with you, or a private message, or if I can help you with anything. And keep going, Carl. Thank you for having the courage to say that you get anxious speaking, right? Do what your heart says. Don't be afraid to share your truth, how beautiful that is, right? We can just do it one step at a time. Thanks for watching, Ellen. I appreciate you and all your work. I know you're passionate and you're using your voice, and that takes courage. All of us are doing our best. Keep moving forward. That's all that I'm asking. Forward in authenticity, not what society says you need to do, but what your heart says. Listen to your heart. All right, y'all, this has been wonderful. I think next week I will be talking with Nate Maris. Raw food, a raw foodie. So he's going to break the stereotypical ideas that if you're eating raw food, that you're a wimp. All right. So join me next week for that. Love y'all. Thanks for watching, everybody. Watching on the replay, watching the live. Carl, Ellen, and JJ, and whoever else might have been watching. I really appreciate it. All right. Have a good week, y'all. Bye.